busy. First of all, I want to thank the parents for showing up. I think it's probably, maybe in the winter time we said, we need to have a meeting just at the end of the year to talk to our parents just about, some of the things we offer during the summer to making sure everybody's aware. Now, if you look at the calendar that Mr. McDonald put together about activities, if your kids are involved in a couple sports, you can see, and I tell you what, I've been, people have talked to me about the school and the amount of time we take of our kids, which I understand. But the one thing I just want to tell you, there are a lot of opportunities here. There are a lot of opportunities here for your students. And the expectations, all the coaches will be here, or are here tonight to talk about some of their expectations. But the first thing, the main thing I'm going to talk about is the role of the parents. Because I understand this, we are partners in this venture. We are partners in this venture. And saying that, I'm going to tell you what, during the school year, outside of in the classroom, nobody's probably going to spend more time with your children than the coaches. And I say that because the coaches, they can tell you on the pay scale, it's not a great paying job to be a coach in McCool Junction Public Schools. But I tell you, the one thing it does do is it allows them to do what they love, and that's work with children. It allows them to work with children, so we need that support. The one thing, though, that I always ask the parents to think about this, I want your expectations to match your child's expectations. This year, after a couple of seasons, I talked to some of the kids, and one of the kids told me this, which was really good. It said, sports is not my life. I go out because I just want to participate. And I'm just going to come out during the season. And I go, that is fine. But make sure your parents understand what their expectation and yours match. Because I tell you what, I know as a coach, and my wife will tell you this too, as a coach I expected a lot out of my athletes. And somebody said, they go, Coach Cogs, will you play favorites? And I did. I played favorites. I played favorites with every boy and girl that showed up at that gym a lot. I was, and I hate, and I tell you what, but I'll tell you the things I remember the most, and it isn't. I got to coach a team in the state championship. I got to take several teams to Lincoln, and I will tell you now, as an old guy, that's not what I remember the most. It's the kids I coached. But there is something about achievement that is exciting. But I'll tell you the thing that's the most important is the relationship our coaches have with your students. And that's very important. The one thing you'll see on here that's also new that our coaches are going above and beyond. They've always had, the morning conditioning program. Our coaches have got together. They're offering morning and evening conditioning. So if your child can't make it in the morning, it's all open in the evening. Again, I tell you this as this is the situation. It is voluntary. It is voluntary to come up and do conditioning. But the school has provided the support for our coaches to be there. There are going to be coaches in the morning and in the evening, opening up, working with weights and conditioning. So I think that's a big plus. And you don't have to, if you're not a morning person, you come in the evening. And somebody said, well, do you have to come all the time? The coaches will visit, but the expectation is, it's there if you want it. It's there if you want it. And if you see on the schedule, the team camps that are there, the conditioning, the one thing that I'm excited about, the number of activities that are hosted here this summer. A volleyball team camp, basketball camp. There's a lot of things that are hosted here this year for our kids. So if you look at the schedule, you'll see that it's there for you and not, that's close by for you to take advantage of. One thing I really want to talk about, and this is important. I share this all the time. Nothing is more important than our children. Nothing. And sometimes we lose objectivity when we see our children play athletics. And that goes here too. The one thing I do want to share though, guys, there is a chain of command. If there's a concern, the first people I want you to talk to are the coaches, but not after a contest. That's happened a couple times this year, and it can't happen. If there's a concern, visit with the coaches, and it won't be after the contest. It will have to be, a day afterward to set up a meeting and visit with them. but also visit with the coaches about what the season's going to be like, what their expectations are. Talk to them about what you want to see for your children in their program. But like I said, it's got to be a chain of command, and we're fortunate. We have coaches, great coaches, an AD, Mr. Stark, our principal, Mr. McDonald, and then the gray-haired superintendent, me. And as I said, I'm willing to talk to you, and you'll see this. I love coming to watch the activity. The most important thing, though, that sometimes we lose focus on in sporting activity is I think it does this. It's about developing young people. It's about developing character. And I know it's exciting to win, but the most important role of athletics is to teach our young people how to work as a team, how to give of yourself, how to push yourself. And I don't want us to ever lose focus of that. And like I said, the one thing I can tell you is the adults we have working with your kids here feel the same way. They will take care of your kids. The one thing, as we look at different changes this year, I bring up some of the things that are going to be implemented this year that are different. In football this year, for instance, the coaches came to me with a great idea because we were having trouble getting uniforms checked back in. So next year, parents do have to give a deposit. We're not ever going to cash that check, guys, unless we don't get the uniforms back. But we're going to hold on to a check, and then we'll give it back to you after the children get the uniforms back in, because that's been an issue. We actually had people checking in uniforms sometimes at the end of the school year so they could graduate. We've got to get that in, because the one thing, and I'm blessed, we've got a couple board members here, and they will tell you this: our school district supports athletics, to a tune of probably $30,000 to $40,000 a year. So we want our kids to take care of things. We want our kids to take care of things. And my boys can tell you this. Dr. C had a real good talk to him about cleaning up the locker room. I say this: if anybody ever tells you something was stolen from this school, I will laugh. Hundreds of items. People who work at the school, could you verify this? Hundreds of items are donated to Goodwill every year from this school. And we have people, we had stuff out for lost and found. State football sweatshirts that nobody claimed. Nobody claimed. And I'm sitting there going, I know the parents work hard for that. But guys, encourage your kids too to look in their lockers, because there are things in those lockers that are stuffed. So make sure they take care of the equipment we give them. Because the one thing we're going to do, we're going to give them great equipment to work with. The board also this year is we've got a uniform rotation going. And next year, our volleyball and cross country will be having new uniforms. The following year, I believe it's football, and maybe one of the basketball teams. We want to take care of our kids. We want to show them pride. So guys, all we ask in return is pride back for the equipment we give them. So, and the one thing again, I always say this: the most important thing for our kids too on a game or an activity is to play in front of the parents. It's good to play in front of a crowd. So come and support the kids. I always say this: there is no better activity, I think, than to watch students and watching kids. It is just a great activity. And the one thing our conference has done, our admission price, they said one of the lowest in the state. I said, you know what? It should be. It should be a family activity. We should keep it so families can come in and watch a game without losing an arm and a leg. And I will always support that. It's got to be reasonable. But I'll tell you one thing. I know this about McCool Junction. Our best asset is in front of me. Our students and parents. And we are fortunate to have a great little community. But thank you for your support. Again, thank you for supporting the coaches. And just on the last, remember, it's a partnership. It's a partnership. And they will visit and talk to you and take care of your children. So I'll turn it over to, who's next, Mr. McDonald?
I think I am.
Okay.
Curtis, do the parents have the option of purchasing the uniform?
The one thing, because we are going through Nike with our contract for uniforms, and right now we buy so many, Tim, And in the past, we have allowed football players, and that was a long time ago, to buy their jersey. But I don't know, Tim, I'd have to ask Nike on that question, because we just went to Nike. And the one thing is, if we sell a top, can they match the top? And what we probably have to charge the parents is replacement costs, not what it costs us, because ordering one is a lot more than ordering a team set.
I didn't know if they're going to have the names on the back or not. Or...
Probably right now, I don't think we are. You know, I know one year, it's a couple years ago, Ryan's cross-country T-shirts, he sent the example in, and thank God he used my son as the example. And all the T-shirts came back with Cogswell on the back, and not all the parents were happy. And we thought, at least I thought it was the best thing that ever happened, but most of the parents didn't take them. So only two did, me and Lisa. But I did appreciate that, and I was very glad that there was Cogswell on the back of that cross-country T-shirts. But they did replace them for us. So, Mr. McDonald, I'll turn it over to thanks, Steve.
I'm just going to talk a little bit about the weight training schedule. You'll see on your calendar, it's going to be 4.5 days a week. And what I mean by that is we'll offer it morning and night, 6:45 to 8:15 a.m. and p.m. Monday through Thursday. And then on Fridays, it'll just be in the morning, during the morning session. And what I have shared with most people is, if you can't make it on Friday, that's okay. You know, if you can make it 4 out of 5 days a week, that's really a positive thing. The other thing that I want to share with that is we're going to start on time and we're going to end on time. One of my people that I respect a lot in the state of Nebraska for coaching is the football coach at Boys Town, and I heard him speak at a youth coaches conference one time, and he said that's one of the biggest mistakes that youth coaches make is most of them start on time, but they don't end on time. And I thought about that, and oftentimes at my practices when I was coaching 4th, 5th, and 6th grade basketball was, well, let's just do it one more time, one more time, one more time. You got this group of parents sitting over on the wall waiting to get out of there. And so it's respecting people's time is the biggest thing that I got out of that. So we're going to start at 6:45 and we're going to end at 8:15. And part of that is when they come in, they're going to be engaged from the get-go. We're going to stretch together. We're going to do another limber activity, this limber 11. If you want to go home and YouTube it, the guy on there is kind of scary. He's pretty intense, but it's something that I've tried for about 3 or 4 weeks, and it actually works out pretty good. I don't have a lot of lower back pain anymore, mostly because I'm not golfing as often. But it's a great activity. It's not something that costs a lot of pain, but it's another just type of stretching that loosens up kind of your core area. Then we'll do some weights. We'll do a core activity, and then we'll do some agility. The things that I'm hearing from our coaches are our kids need to be stronger. They need to be quicker. They need to be more agile, which I agree. You can never get enough of any one of those things. You can be better at all of them. And so those are the things that we'll work on. The weight program was one thing that a lot of people said, well, we don't have something specific. If we had something that everyone could do and something that everyone was capable of doing, I think more people would do it. And so I put together, I shouldn't say I put together, a guy that I coach basketball with in Elkhorn, Andy Christensen, who's now the head football coach at Fort Calhoun, put this weight program together, and I just kind of taken and modified it a little bit, and it's something that I think would do our kids a lot of good. I know our basketball players saw a lot of gains, and I've shared this with a lot of our kids. We had a lot of material to work with in Elkhorn. I can sit here and tell you that we took garbage and made it into Superman. That wasn't the case. We had a lot of Supermans around that we just needed to fine-tune their strength and whatnot. But those kids did see gains, and I think a lot of it had to do with the weight program. I know one thing that was brought up, we talked as coaches, and Ryan had shared with cross country that they do a lot of endurance running in the summer and whatnot, and that's great. And so if they're going to run nights from 8 to 9 o'clock, I believe that's on the schedule there. You know, if a kid wants to cut out of the weight training part of it early to go run, or maybe doesn't want to do certain lifts to save their legs because they're going to do some hills or anything, I can respect that totally. The thing I want to get away from is, well, I can't make it to weight training tonight because I have cross country, and they say that on Monday, and then it becomes the reason on Tuesday, and then it becomes the reason on Wednesday. And I understand the dedication of that, because I totally get it. I am not a runner. Running was the worst part of any sport that I ever played. Oh my gosh, I just never, that was the part that I didn't like. I understood the value of it. I got that, but it was just, so I understand and I respect that, but I don't want it to be something where, you know, well, I can't do that because of this. A lot of what we're going to do at the beginning of the stretching phase of the workout is going to be good for any sport. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're, you know, if you're golfing, it's good for golf. Some people don't consider golf a sport. If you drove a NASCAR, I think it's probably good if you're a NASCAR driver too. So that part of it, I just wanted to put that out there so that everybody's aware of that. Weight room improvements. We have gotten the go-ahead, the sign-off from the guy in charge of the money to get some new weight equipment. It'll actually be here Thursday. I tried to get them to deliver in the afternoon because we get out of school on Thursday, and I think the delivery truck being there with all the weight stuff would be good while we're trying to get out of school. And so the weight room, the stage will look a little bit different. Part of the thought process was, can we utilize our space a little bit better? If you've been in our weight room, there's not a ton of space up there. And the other aspect of that too is a lot of kids talk about we need to get more space. And I would say this, and I've told the kids this, if we can show that there's so many people up there lifting with open space that we're just climbing all over each other because we're just using the heck out of the deal, it'll come. I mean, look at the addition we're building over here. I mean, that's a space issue. We don't have space to house all of our kids. We need more space. So if we can show that we need more space in our weight room, I guarantee the way this community operates, and one of the things that I was drawn to in this community was, if you need it, we'll find a way to do it. And so that to me is exciting. I think the future of that can look really bright, but we have to go out and we have to represent the fact that we need that. The next thing, Dr. Cogswell talked about participation versus commitment. It's not my favorite sport, I'll tell you what. Football was not my favorite sport in high school. And if you've watched me coach basketball, you probably guess which one is my favorite basketball is. But you know what? I played football and I was committed to football, and I give you a list of names of guys that I was committed to. Chad Robinson, Ross Winheim, Luke Ford, TJ Wilcox. I can give you a whole list of those guys that love football. That was their first love. And so, you know what? I was going to show up every single day and put my time in for those guys. It wasn't about, you know, if I'd have been an all-state quarterback, I don't think it would have been that big a deal. It just wouldn't have mattered that much to me. I mean, it would have been nice, the honor, but I wasn't that good, so it was never going to happen. But basketball was the thing for me. I just loved it. I loved everything about it. And so, but I was committed to football because of the people around me. It wasn't just about me. And so, to me, that's a lot of what that summer schedule is. It's not about you getting bigger, you getting, as the boys like to say, swole. I want to get swole, I want to be huge. It's not just about that. It's about getting better for the whole team concept. That's what we're trying to build. It's not about, well, we're going to make this kid good and hope the rest of you can just show up so we can lift him up on a pet. That's not how I want it to be. Because I'll tell you what, if you are on a state championship team, and I can give you a great example that lives in our community, Andy Wilkinson, Elgin High basketball, 1992. I didn't even know Andy was on the team. I am a high school basketball nut. I can tell you the other kids that are on this team, but I've talked to Andy. You know what Andy's job on that team was? Guard the other team's best player. Use all 5 of your fouls if you have to. That was his job. And get a lot of rebounds. But you know what? I've seen his state championship medal. And I'll tell you what, I'd trade just about anything to save my family for one of those. I would. Because that was it for me. I just wanted to get to Lincoln to play basketball. That's all I wanted to do in high school. Didn't happen. But I'll tell you what, you know, whether you're the center, the guard, the setter, the back row person that rotates in for 3 rotations in volleyball, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're part of that. So something to think about. Positive takeaways for this summer. I'm a positive guy. I know it doesn't always seem like that. It looks like I'm maybe kind of angry sometimes, but I promise you I am. Unity, commitment. I'll tell you what, some of the greatest perspective that we get in this school building, you know, kids come down to my office and it's not always a real positive situation, but kids have pretty good perspective about what's going on in this school building. They can tell you a lot of things that maybe you don't necessarily see and or want to believe is true. But perspective, when you show up as a kid to summer weights, other people see that. They notice, they take notice of that, and mostly it's kids, not just the coaches. So, something to think about. Desire, unselfishness, a proactive approach, preparing for greatness. I talk about that all the time with our junior high kids. Some of them are going, yeah, maybe a little too much. But proactive, prepare to be great. Not just show up and be great, prepare to be great. Communication. I mean, if you look at that schedule, and I look at my kids' schedules, they're starting to get more involved in stuff, it's constant. I'm talking to my wife more than ever now, it's great. We're in love, it's great, you know, we're talking. We're not talking about anything that has to do with us, but we're talking. But to keep all of that organized is going to take some communication. I think that's a huge takeaway. Character. And the thing that, you know, that the great John Wooden always said, that sports doesn't just, you know, it reveals character. Sometimes when you get in those competitive situations, it reveals who you really are. You might be a quiet, reserved type of person, and you come out with sports and you're on fire. And the biggest thing on there, consistency. If you show up 40 days in the summer, it's pretty hard to quit an activity when you've committed that much time. Consistency. I mean, I don't know about you, if I do a project at home and I don't get it all the way finished, just ask my wife how the evening goes. I'm someone that wants to start something and I want to finish it. If I don't get it finished, I'm pretty upset a lot of times. So consistency. And the last thing we'll leave you, I know Dr. Cogswell talked about the parental thing, but my dad always taught me in administration especially, and in just education and life in general, it's how you ask the question a lot of times to get the answer that you want in a lot of cases. And so I think this is a huge thing in being proactive with parents. Are you going to fill in the blank activity versus, hey, don't forget you have this activity. It's how you ask the question. It's how you phrase it. The first one is, it's a choice for you. The second one is, we're expecting you to go. It's a reminder, right? You didn't make it to weights this morning. Are you going to go tonight? You better go tonight. Make sure you go tonight. Okay? Stay on. Partnership. I love that. I love that. And I've talked to a lot of kids about this. So-and-so isn't here to do this activity. Did you call them? I mean, peer pressure works both ways, ladies and gentlemen. There's bad peer pressure. Here, drink this can of beer, and there's good peer pressure. Hey, come to weights. Come work out with us. Let's get better together. And so using that approach sometimes. I think it's okay to say, nope, you're not just going to drive around town. You're going to go lift weights. And then if you want to drive around for a little bit, okay. All right? The other thing I will say, if getting here is an issue, please call me. My car doesn't seat a lot of people, and usually there's a lot of junk in it, but I've been trying to do a better job of cleaning it out. But I will gladly pick somebody up. I tell this story all the time. I was coaching Axtell. I picked up, and you can call her and ask her. You can Sydney Axtell. She lived in Funk, which was a town 6 miles to our west. I picked her up every Saturday during basketball season to come in to work on basketball skills. Every Saturday. Her mom and dad couldn't make it, and I said, well, I'm driving the car, let's pick you up. And I think it was a little awkward at first, but then, you know, Sydney and I would talk about school, and then eventually I would help her with the math, and then we'd work on basketball. So it was great. But if anyone ever needs a ride, please don't hesitate to call. If my car isn't working, the little black van we got will work too. But that's all I got. If there's coaches want to have anything you want to share, or if parents have questions of coaches, you can stick around and ask. One thing, sorry I forgot, I just noticed my note here at the top. If you are a girls basketball player or parent, there are 2 waivers that should have come home yesterday. But some of you are going, no, I didn't come home yesterday. They should come home, hopefully today. We need those back. So that way we have a team camp and a summer league that we're in, that if you don't sign that paper, you can't play. And we want you to play. So make sure we get those back, preferably before school's out. Anybody have any questions about anything whatsoever? That schedule is not like set in stone. There might be a few other things, but I think for the most part, I hit all the different coaches up and we got that put together. That will also be on our website. It'll be color coordinated. So like volleyball is all one color, weight training is all one color, football is all one color. What? It is bigger on the website, yes. Well, what's hard about the calendar is if you want to get all that information on there, you got to go small print. I saw they're having a magnifying glass sale at Walmart. Any other questions? I'm excited about this, but I'll tell you what, having been a part of a lot of different things, sometimes things are fads for a couple weeks. Yeah, I'll show up in June. Don't just show up in June. Show up in June the first couple of weeks, then stick around for the rest of it. You'll get better. And the thing about, I think, sometimes with weight training is we think, oh man, it's going to be really hard and be really sore. The thing that I've learned most from Andy Christensen as a coach is if you ease people into something and then ease them into it even a little bit more, their muscles, their body, everything will adjust a little bit easier, and then you can really develop some power and some function with what you're building. And so with the program that we've designed, I think your kids are going to see that. That the first, it's going to seem like it's easy, but a lot of that's going to be body adjusting to what we're going to be doing. Body's going to adjust, and there is going to be some soreness, but I think the biggest thing is just being responsible. That brought me to one other point. Eating and sleeping are also a huge part of this. Okay?
Can you say that again?
Eating and sleeping,
I do both.
Diana Johnson, are a huge part of this. Okay? You need to drink a lot of water. You need to go to bed. People laugh at this all the time. I went to bed at 9 o'clock in high school all 4 years. And some nights I went to bed at 8:30. I'm not making that up. And I got up at like 8, and school started at 8:10. So I mean, I slept a lot. I'm someone that needs a lot of sleep, but as young people, I mean, go look at the research. Young people need 8 to 10 hours of sleep to function. Just a normal person walking down the street, sitting at a desk doing homework. So if you're doing more rigorous activity, take care of your body. Demand that your kids.
That when the season's going along too,
yes.
They need to sleep and they need to eat.
Absolutely.
Instead of having
yes.
certain things happening.
You know, take the French fries off the plate and throw an apple on there. They may give you a funny look, but kids will eat it. My kids eat it, and they're picky and stubborn. So, anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.
Can we get a copy of your weightlifting?
Yes, absolutely. I don't have one with me, but yes.
When you have it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I can put that up on the website as well too, so everyone can take a look at that. If there's no other questions, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. You being here shows the first step in commitment, in my opinion. That's a big part of it. So I appreciate that, and have a good rest of the evening. Thank you.